Welcome to those of you on Twitch, those of you on YouTube, who I think is all of you. Have not checked the Twitch viewers. This is Northstar. I shall be playing the new Gotterdammerung DLC for Hearts Iron momentarily. If anyone was watching on Twitch, I apologize. I attempted to stream some pop-up dungeon, but I was using desktop audio because I was in this menu for a moment. Sorry, and the desktop audio was muted accidentally, as was my microphone, so it was a video in complete silence and a stream in complete silence. I'm assuming nobody stuck around for that, if anyone even popped over. Now you should be able to hear me. Those of you who watched earlier, and which is probably no one, or in YouTube, what I'm wondering about, I think I was playing a bit of Pop-Up Dungeon, which is a dungeon crawler. You'll see me play in the future. It's a good game. I'm getting close to fighting the Sage in the Run Home campaign, who is extremely hard. It's easy enough to beat if you let him run away, but I want to capture him, and that's exceedingly hard in that game. Anyways, here we go. Hearts Iron is updated. I can now try Gotterdammerung, although I'm going to have to revert the version when I play with my multiplayer game with friends, which you might also see at some point. That would be, I believe, it doesn't have the 1.14.8 as an option. Oh, that's going to be a problem. Is it? Yeah, 1.14.8 was the last one. Oh my. Whew. I may have to see if I can contact Parabox or something, otherwise my multiplayer game will be screwed. That sucks, but not much I can do about it now. Spell milk. So, let's try this out, shall we? Bugs and all, because for those of you who play Hearts Iron, probably aware that new DLC almost always launch with bugs of some sort. Switching to game streaming here. Dwight Eisenhower. Of all the famous American generals, he was by far the nicest, most competent of the big three. That meaning MacArthur, Patton, and Eisenhower. MacArthur should not be represented as a brilliant strategist in this game, and I'll have to remember to go and complain about that on the Paradox forum again someday. He was actually incompetent. I was in ROTC one time. We studied some of his terrible leadership, read books about it written by actual soldiers who served under him. MacArthur was an incompetent jackass who got involved in politics a lot, and some people like him because he became this epitome of conservative virtue. I guess he was not. If those people wanted someone to look up to, they should look up to Patton, who was actually competent and knew what he was doing, although he let his anger, his temper get in the way of doing a good job leading his men, and that created issues at times. That was not a virtue, that was a vice that nearly got him fired on one or two occasions. Eisenhower was cool, calm, collected, and he legitimately believed in the values of freedom that America was supposed to stand for. MacArthur did not. I am not surprised he can become in charge of the non-aligned U.S. that goes fascist in one of the alt histories in this game. This is interesting. What is this supposed to be? Francismus something. Is this what country is this? What flag is that? Whew. Wow. Alright. Germany is the one I'm sure most people want to play. They reward the spirits and probably the tradition. I mean, not the traditions, the description. I have long COVID, I mix up words sometimes. But let's look. The Imperial armies won battle after battle has ensured that Prussia and Germany found their place in Europe. Despite the politicians' betrayal. Betrayal? Really? They were losing. I'm sure this will upset a few neo-fascists who found their way to my stream, but the fact is Germany had more or less lost World War I. It was just a matter of time till troops rolled into Germany proper, so the politicians surrendered to spare a lot of bloodshed. Now, yes, there were uprisings, socialist uprisings. That wasn't actually even the politicians, but labor unions that led those. But that didn't change what was happening. That happened as Germany was losing. Similar to the way that Soviet Union, which is losing on the Eastern Front to Germany, had uprisings and signed a separate peace. That shouldn't be surprising to anyone. The army will be able to regain its lost... Okay, that's misspelled. There should be no apostrophe. It should be its. If it's possessive in English, it belongs to. It's not IT apostrophe S. That means it is. The people's victory. The people have spoken. Woo. The elections 34-36 were highly rigged by the Nazis to make sure that they won. For Princip, the Fuhrer expects full loyalty from those closest to him, yet those who are among his trusted few must remember that none of them counts more than the stones they're standing on. A single step out of line of had dire consequences. Right. Mufabel's spirits. Spirit, the Deutsches Heer, which is the new German army one. It's not as good as it used to be at the start, but it can be buffed to be better than before. This does eliminate some of the trend of Germany needing to rush other nations because their army spirits start out one of the strongest in the game and it doesn't get better. Although the economy of conquest creates the same imperative now, which is more historically accurate. It's not that the German army became less effective, it's their economy was collapsing. They needed more conquest to prop it up. Alright, well. I said a long time ago to myself, yeah, I'm not doing this Iron Man, not with the bugs in a new DLC. I have zippo intention, 0 of ever playing the fascist Germans for long. That's where I draw a line. That doesn't mean I won't play Germany. Just you're gonna see one of the history paths here for sure. How exactly I manage it depends on how exactly the new focus tree looks. Twitch is still on a delay. I don't think only the most popular streams are live or close enough to live that you can interact in real time with someone. So too much of a delay. I think the auto moderation feature being enabled doesn't help, even if it's on the lowest settings, as mine is. for now, unless people prove I need to. Oh, come on, there's so many things at the top I can't even. Ooh. Start with no experimental facilities, right? Oh. There's a Brandenburg tank one. I guess that's actually realistic. The Germans are already experimenting with advanced land warfare in this. You choose one of two scientists to begin with. Emil Becker or Edward Grote. Close to a naval breakthrough, but I don't have any. How did that happen? Guess that's when you build a naval facility, you get your first one quick. Repetitive noises like this do bother my long COVID a bit, so I'll probably mute that soon. Alright. The new focus tree in all its splendor. The Kriegsmarine, Luftwaffe, military stuff. Manpower if you want it right away, and Henschel gain size. Usually you want to wait to do size gain stuff a little later, because sizes get progressively more expensive. So upgrading from size 2 to 3, for instance, is better than upgrading from 1 to 2. If you can punch out a size. The 4-year plan is the one that leads into the economy of conquest. Basically, you have to keep constantly conquering stuff, and if you run into a situation where it would have been better to bide your time, you're screwed. It does eventually, if you can get autarky achieved, which requires the easiest way to do that would probably be able to conquer down into Spain and take parts of Africa. Actually, you don't need the Soviet Union for this at all. This eliminates, I believe, the ticking time bomb that is economy of conquest, and get Wirtschaftswunder, which is probably more or less the same thing you get, if I remember correctly, at the bottom of this. Where is it? Economy, which I think turns into Wirtschaftswunder, but you get a buff to autarky. It's good if you're building huge military, trying to take the world solo. And there's the Rhineland versus. This starts you on the fascist path. This can even get you a very early war if. Who's this guy? It's correct. The army wasn't strong enough for an all-out war. Von Neurath. Slower justification, but more experience gain. Stronger supply lines, better military intelligence. Ooh. I think that walks you into the fascist path, though, is the problem. Petty and baseless. No. Now, I doubt there used to be ways to switch out of being fascist even if you took the Rhineland path. If you managed to trigger Operation Valkyrie, for instance. I doubt that's still here. It might be. There's this Rally the Wehrmacht. There's no question the easiest way to conquer the world is to go the historical route. Like, that's not even a question, because if no one opposes the Rhineland, you get bonuses. Formation of the paramilitary moves. Holzman, huh? And this is the monarchist route. I have done that in the old version before. And this is the communist route. Interesting. I've never existed before. And you get temporary spirits in the states that deny you some factories but give you recruitable population, factories and resources, and slower construction speed. You can avoid a second civil war with this, actually. Get some intelligence buffs. I'm sure there's some nonsense about the Stasi here, as if history would have played out exactly the same if it was the Germans being their own masters instead of becoming half of them Soviet puppets because they tried to exterminate enormous numbers of people, including much of the Soviet civilian population, of which the Nazis historically killed 4.5 million Soviet civilians. 1 million in the city of Leningrad alone. That was by far the worst. They starved out the city for a very long time, and it was, for those of you who don't know, Leningrad is St. Petersburg, is what it's called today. They starved out a city that's on like New York City size levels. It's one of the biggest cities in the world, and they cut off all food. History repeats itself with sieges, and those kind of tactics are being used again now, but I won't talk about that. Jeez, that's a lot of daily communism support between that and the intelligence wing. Assemble the Red Orchestra. Gives you extra operative choices next time you recruit operatives, and you get a couple extra operative slots, so you can pick 2 of them right away. The Second Treaty of Berlin. What? Yeah, for a future to, if you're taking a more aggressive path, just conquer Europe. To liberate the proletariat if Fury Socialist. The Spartacus League. You can do that and the Second Treaty of Berlin? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, this is non-historical, so Yep, because the services were historically privatized. In fact, the Nazis, the fascists, I should say, because it was also Italian fascists, the word privatization was coined partly based on their efforts to take state assets and sell them off. Anyone who claims the Nazis were socialists is insane. So it's a reference to that there. Democratic institution. Some democracy support. They can actually be useful if you can raid them if they become threatening and gain stability, and if they're not, they give you trade influence with democracies. They lose a little stability. Civil wars. I think that could be interesting. As opposed to this, a little bit of extra resources. Yes, I will work harder. The stock and right. Yeah, that didn't work out so well for some of the people who did it. You have to pace yourself. And that's all that's unique. That's a tiny, tiny tree from the so-called proletarian dictatorship. Oh, it leads into this. Probably modifies recovering economy too. Spheres of influence. Northern Shield. Yeah. This is this. Democracy, free elections. Yeah. I assume there's no way to even have a communist faction if you're free elections, but I was checking. Some democracy paths allow that. Communism via elections. Personally, I tend to think if you're trying to do socialism, democratic socialism is the way to go, so... like the US has it in the game. For instance, democracy via elections. They can either, well, they can get communism elected, or they can institute democratic socialism, but you maintain elections despite being communist, which in this game normally eliminates them, and that's a good thing. People should be free to pick, free to abandon an ideology if it's not working. You do need to be monitoring for foreign propaganda. I'm sure many of you know the nonsense that was pumped into the Soviet world about how free the US was, and that's taken a turn for the worse. You know, snowed in, the mass monitoring of everything everyone says and does. I'm sure Big Brother is watching right now. Okay, well, economy first. I don't think I'm going to be... I don't know the new focuses well enough to go... excuse my language, balls to the wall, conquering everything quickly, so the 4-year plan will have to wait till a future playthrough. Unless there's something in here I really don't like. Oh, that's almost like a Star Wars soundtrack. Interesting. Currency reforms, lower taxes. Really? Housing developments. Oh, that upgrades 2 regions. That's something that's very hard to do. It should be a part of the game, but it's not. Invest in Verindiga Stalwarka. Yep, historical was huge. Mass production. Ooh. That's powerful. Let's see, this hurts stability, gives me some factories. Start hard. Remove Schnacht of the Schnacht plan. Political power. I have to pay back the Mifo bills immediately. Worst time to pay those back is immediately. Maybe there's something I could run first. I don't know what. If you start the Civil War path. Does this only let you aid the nationalists? Probably. Even if you're out of the Wehrmacht, it probably doesn't let you send Republicans volunteers. Friend in China is powerful. So militarize this stuff. This starts an instant civil war. Jeez. Modern maneuver warfare. Command power, which will probably save up. How about the Air Force? On Aben a Mayo. Ooh, Chief of the Air Force doesn't upgrade any MIOs. Some air bases. Or the Navy. Civil wars are infamously bad for navies in the game, but it's only if you fight them at sea. If you just keep your ships in port, it's not so terrible, actually. You just don't want to sink the ships you're going to get after the war. Or you could skirmish them a little. Alright, let's see who's my Chief of the Air Force. Von Grime, if I take expand Luftwaffe. Did they fix the battle wear penalty? Probably not, so he's probably still useless. Vilberg, ground support expert. You have to be not fascist. Interesting. Goering. Reinstate Nazi leadership is the only way you get them if you're not fascist, which basically you have to go monarchist or Kesselring. Kesselring is available from day one, but you should get more. It's Vilberg I probably want. Not fascist reorganize the Luftwaffe. Okay, that gives me an idea. Where is reorganized the... Here we go. It's below the Jägerwaffe. Hunter Force. Hunter Aircraft. You need you get your flying aces. This upgrades Mr. Schmidt. Christian becomes a general. Problem is, if I start recruiting generals, they could go with Nazis. It's better to maybe not recruit them until after. Hanover should be in the anti-fascist side of the Civil War. Radofugsverka, what? This gets you air research. What's a Radofugsverka? Oh, it's a multi-role aircraft designer. Oh, it's probably Mr. Schmidt I'm focus on. Early. The Civil War is a great chance to gain some more aces. Just have to accept them. Have to expand something for. Alright. Artillery or tanks. This is like midget tanks. What are the available? Does it tell you what? Doesn't even tell you what things you can. I think the artillery specialist. Just because he wanks up faster, and I know that'll give me railway guns. I don't know what the tank projects are, if they're any good. Alright, I don't want to hear this Day of May nonsense. Hessen and Westfalen. What I don't see is probably the prospecting decisions. There used to be, I think, a focus for that. Am I remembering correctly? Could be wrong. Otherwise, I don't even see any of the. I know there's oil around here somewhere. I'm trying this side. Some oil there already. The Ruhr Dam affects the Rhineland. Faster construction. It doesn't have the H in Ruhr. And this so I fixed the Rhineland, so actually Mossland I could So one thing I should explain here is I don't want to build the factory somewhere that have too many build slots available already, Because it's probably worth doing industry first. I mean, infrastructure first in the Mossland, for instance. And the Rhineland, they're going to have, yeah. Also places with resources like Hanover may eventually, plus this is likely to be close to the front, so there's that. Ah. Landlord for a facility can already do a special project. Flame tanks. Flampanzer. I'll get back to this stuff. How do I still have free? Oh. There's already a dam in Hessen. Oh. I didn't know. Well, that makes Hessen a great place to build. Less value from infrastructure there. So Hessen and Westfalen, and that should remove the idle civilian. Finally, I can mute that. Ah yes, outdated equipment. I'm building some outdated subs. 2 of them? 2? Yeah, set that to 1. Finish what's already partway in progress. Take the 7 class, which was the mainstay, if I remember, of the Nazi sub-fleet. Really? This was built without any MIO. No, they have a sub-designer specifically. That's new. Wish we could give you descriptions of some of these things, like Declan Field Torpedo. You can get sub-mass production very early if you go. Submarine bunkers, which are historically a big deal because they made it safer to build the subs, less bombing vulnerability. Deck guns. Sonar versus periscopes. Mine laying. Range versus speed. Speed, of course, makes subs a little harder to hit. And I forget if it affects, I think it affects depth charges trying to hit them even. Fast subs would logically be more likely to get out of the way, even if their engines are throttled down. Deep sea rating. Stealth versus supremacy, I see. Alright, anyways. Subs are pretty cool. But it may be better to wait for more advanced ones. We have these destroyers, the 1934 and 1934A class. The AI, as a hint to the players, doesn't replace stuff with, you get access to the 34 and 34A, both here. What do I bet this Emma person? We'll see who this is. I just read someone was messaging me in the chat. It's a reasonable chat. It's a chat bot, but we'll see. When watching on YouTube, I'm also doing this to Twitch. Got a message and it just said, "Hi, how are you?" which is not a very normal way to say hello on Twitch. Makes me suspicious. I'm going to reactivate the 34 class because mine laying is actually pretty good in some scenarios. Has a function for sure. These should be labeled as what they are. Oop. It's just trying to redo the this. Should be like a little anti-sub thing. There's not enough options here. No hurry with those. Part of the reason I'm doing this is with anything other than convoys, there's no overflow of production from completed to the next in the line, if I'm not mistaken, but of course that means having parallel production is the way to go usually. We'll want some of these too, I guess. So just parallel production, lots of destroyers. Oh, there's an escort designer now instead of a rating. Anti-air and light attack. Production output. I have a dedicated sub-designer now, but still mass-produced Raiders is good. I think I'm just going to focus on Blum and Vosh. This must be rather boring for those of you watching, but it's part of, I should get into video editing because this is one of those things that probably be better sped up. Put stuff in Vester M's so that it's far from the front lines and there's no chance of it getting driven out if I lose a naval base and then being vulnerable to being attacked. It's because when the German Civil War happens, you lose control of the east near Berlin. Makes sense. The areas that are close to their capital are harder to control. comes to subs, I'm producing the type 2, which is minimally equipped, good for exercises maybe, and the type 7. Part of the reason for these smaller ships is, well, destroyers never lose their utility. They're always good for distracting shots from convoys and bigger ships. And subs can be a pain in the rear even when they're outdated. So, yeah, an emphasis on destroyers for now, but I'll probably move into subs a little later. We'll see. I might try and do midget subs if I can get a naval facility up soon. It's Germany. See if I can avoid conflict with the UK for a while because of their superior navy. So I can continue to trade for resources by sea, and I'm going to be focusing on the east, where nobody has a particularly powerful navy and it's short ranges, so midget subs are probably useful there because of the very short ranges. And poor anti-sub stuff. I may have to do a combination of conquest and revolts to turn these areas if I go communist or democratic even. Cool. I have 8 military factories to assign. Let's get some music again for you folks. Infantry equipment. What else am I producing that's considered outdated? Oh, the subs. Those I'll finish soon. Infantry equipment's used in the Civil War, but I don't necessarily want the Nazis to inherit lots of that. Where are my factories? What is it, not even going to tell me what's already in the state? I thought it used to do that when you do in the infrastructure view. Say there's X number of mil, X number of civ already there. Oh. I think a lot of my military factories are in the east. This is going to be not the easiest civil war. Still, I'm trying to build an economy that will recover quickly after the war, even if it means a harder civil war at first. Construction, machine tools, because this is necessary for your industry. I'm probably going to go concentrated because I'm not going to be trying to take on all the allies and getting bombed to smithereens. That's a great way to either have a very difficult game or lose. This is daily progress towards interesting. Oh. Electronic engineering now gives you progress towards breakthrough projects. They reworked the radio tech. Less of a bonus for the basic radio, more it's no longer radar after the first. Interesting. Now we'll say this. Them making forts behind text now is a terrible idea unless they're going to make the forts cheaper or more effective, because they were already a weak strategy. I wonder what it even says. Stronger materials. Use of the land. Bunker emplacement. It's a tank module. Why does this go on the super heavies? Looks like it. Defense breakthrough. Self-attack. So there's that. Did they make the forts cheaper? Nope. No, they did not. Really, the devs of this game can't not nerf forts just because they get whining little players. Or, I don't like forts, it makes things slower. They're not good. You build them in certain situations like civil wars because you retain control of them, but they're not good. Oh, you get progress towards breakthroughs if you have techs. That's a reason to... Anything similar there? Nope. You get the land warfare. Well, Air Force, that's important. Oh, J-52s. Range. Really, they couldn't upgrade the air defense a little? They just get longer range. I mean, they're too easy to shoot down. Historically, transports did get better a little bit survivability, more engines, a little more redundancy. Oh, these also provide daily progress, and they're much more useful. Range improvements, torpedoes, engines, piercing bombs. Well, range improvements has always been useful. Probably still is. How big is Messerschmitt? 800 to grow. And I probably want to grow them before I get the next, so... Yep. Aircraft. Air experience. Now, if you're taking a longer range approach to things, you can grab the branch independent spirit or the aircrew surveys. And this will pay for itself after about a little more than 3, really, realistically, since this opportunity costs 4 air doctrines. The branch independent spirit takes a year. No, a year and a half. Depending on the rate you're gaining experience at. It may be better with aircrew surveys because I'll probably do a lot of air skirmishes in the Civil War. I don't know if I do too much of those, but... No, they also reword this a little, didn't they? The air doctrines. Oh, they reword the air tree. I should take a look since I'm running it. What I'm getting myself into. Alright. Plan Z no longer gives you that obscene mission to build a certain number of things. Interesting. Now, even if Germany had been to remain fascist, I'm gonna break the stream for YouTube. I'll be doing another piece right after this, so keep an eye out for it. But I think the uptime has gotten to be considerable, hour and 25. So I do a little bit off camera in terms of the recording to save you people your sanity, but I'm just getting an idea of the new focus tree and getting some things set up. The action will come soon, hopefully. So adieu. This is Northstar. Wishing you all a wonderful day.